love living at the zoo, but sometimes it's good to get away. The way I unplug is barrel racing horses. Ride with me as we gallop into the world of rodeo. Growing up here, the zoo has been a pretty big part of my life, but on this episode, we're going on a new adventure. As we explore together my love of barrel racing, we'll meet my horse team and then head out to the National Barrel Horse Association Youth and Teen World Championships. Barrel racing's fun, but it's a lot of work. It starts with my horses.
Time to go take care of my favorite part in the morning, the horses.
It's a short drive from the zoo to the barn that holds the barrel horses, but it's a pretty familiar path for me.
This is the most deadly curve of Snowflake Road.
Taking care of them is my responsibility, but it's worth it because these guys are my team. We work together. So the first thing that I do every morning is, of course, check on them and make sure everything is good. Then I grab their buckets, measure out their food, and put them out in the pasture for the day. Y'all want to meet them?
So we'll start with Ransom, the one with his head out. Hi. And yeah, he's ready to go out and eat his grain this morning. He has a really, really nice long mane. That is a lot of maintenance, right? Back up. Thank you. And he knows where his bucket is because he knows his feeding station. I just slip his halter off, give him a reward for coming out really nice and smooth this morning, and then we'll move on to the next one. Next is Whiskey. We'll get her out. Now Whiskey's a big beefy mare, got a lot of muscle on her. So yeah, we're gonna bring her out. As you can see what I mean, she's a big beefy mare. She's got a lot of muscle on her.
And last but not least, we have Sugar.
She's the oldest. She can be a little tender on rocks. She likes to move her legs a little differently. She doesn't necessarily like the rocks, so I try to keep her off of it, take her around through the grass. Now, she's little with a lot of attitude, I will have to say. So I'll let her go over there and then I'll come over. Excuse me, ma'am. And she eats like a freight train, like no other horse I've ever met in my life. She eats every day, but she eats like she hadn't eaten in her lifetime. And definitely, they're all my babies. I love them all equally.
But sadly, they can't all come with me. Only Ransom and I qualified for the World Championship.
Only in rodeos do you have to pick one horse. In barrel racing, you can run 10 horses if you want. In rodeos, you can only pick one.
Ransom definitely has his own personality.
I've known a lot of horses in my lifetime, and this is the strangest horse I've ever met. He is just, he'll lick your face. You walk up to the stall door, you'll get a big slobbery face. He'll lick your hands. I was riding him up the road one day and there was a roll of wire in a field, and he saw it and he jumped out of his skin and was acting all weird, and I was like, you walk past those, dude, every day. What is your problem? But now some of that comes with age. He's still a baby. He was at the same barn for 5 years before we got him. So this is all new to him. He'd only done 6 rodeos before I'd gotten him, so everything's new and different for him. Now I've gotten him up to a lot more barrel races and rodeos. He likes the big shows, so does Sugar. Whiskey is still figuring everything out, but she seems to like the big shows as well in the past 4 months.
This is a world championship, but like any race, it takes a lot to get ready. As you can see from the back of our trailer, there's a lot of things horses need. With the exception of the old saddle, which I no longer use, we need each item that's back here. We've got everything from fly sprays, the horses' special foods, their favorite buckets, fly masks, stuff for cooling muscles, and bridles and bits for each horse.
That's all the stuff so far for the horses. They'll just have to have some hay in the trailer and then put them in and put their fly mask and stuff on. So that's it.
That's just the gear we have to pack in order to race. Like my dad points out, getting ready for the race is making sure Ransom and any of my horses are in top condition.
They have a specific diet, and that just, we want to make sure that the horses are not overweight, they're not underweight. We're making sure that they're exercised properly before races. And, if they needed an injection of some sort, sometimes an older horse, when it's been running a lot, just like a human athlete, you maybe has been a marathon runner for years and years. As they get a little bit older, sometimes they get a little few aches and pains. And so what do we take for it? We take an anti-inflammatory or something like that. And we do the same thing for the horses if they need that. So they're vet checked pretty often and make sure that they're at their peak performance. They get chiropractic care. They get massages just like human athletes would.
We're all packed up and just about ready to go.
So we get all the essentials loaded, making sure we got our saddles, our tack, any sort of medical equipment we may need. Obviously our clothes that we'll need for change clothes. It is a rodeo, and barrel racing is kind of a dirty sport sometimes. There's a lot of dirt, a lot of dust, and a lot of manure. So change of clothes and shoes is essential, I think, to remaining clean while we're there.
And water.
So all that's left to do now is pull up, we'll load up the horses inside, and then we'll take off.
We're off to the NBHA Youth and Teen World Championship, which is really a big event. It's special because you have to qualify to be there. And strangely, you don't have to place at the state championship to go to the world championship.
So qualifying for the state championship and qualifying for the world championship are two different qualifications completely. So you can qualify for the world, and if you do, most likely you do qualify for the state championship, but you don't have to go to the state in order to go to the world championship. You can, if you qualified for world championship, you can skip the state championship altogether.
You get points for every race you place in the district you're competing in. The higher you place, the more points you get.
Whether you come in first place or 10th place,
You still have points.
you still get points, but you obviously, the lower down you are, the fewer points you get. So the more races you'd have to win. If you were winning 6th place every time, you'd have to win a whole lot more races in order to get enough points. Where if you won 1st or 2nd place, there's fewer races that you would have to win.
One of the ways you qualify to enter the World Championships is by qualifying in the top 10 spots in your district. We're Virginia District 4. That's where I qualified to bring Ransom to the World Championships. We're taking a 6.5-hour drive to the championships, which takes a while, especially when you're taking care of a horse. But it's also a great time on the road with Mom and Dad. Our destination? Perry, Georgia. The NBHA World Championships are held at the Georgia National Fairgrounds. As we pull in, you can feel the excitement in the air. We're actually here 2 days before our race to get everything set for the race day.
So my horse's name is Ransom. His registered name is Did I Mention You? It's kind of a weird name. It's more of a statement, but we mainly just call him Ransom or Handsome Ransom. So we're at the Georgia National Fairgrounds for Youth World NBHA, National Barrel Horse Association. I qualified to get here, so I'm going to qualify for the finals.
So at the World Championships here in Perry, Georgia, there's almost 1,200 riders. There are almost 3,000 horses, and we've got people from all over the United States as well as 9 different countries. They're from Europe, they're from Mexico.
We have even some from Australia.
We've got some from Australia here too. So this is kind of a collection of some of the best barrel racers in the world.
We've already put Ransom in his stall with water in his favorite color bucket. And I'm getting some hay to put in his hay net.
You notice us putting hay down into a hay net. And the reason for that is because the horses are inside stalls, they're not moving a whole lot. You don't want them eating all that hay too fast. They want to slow them down a little bit. So we put that inside the hay net, and so they have to kind of pick around the hay itself, the hay bag, in order to get to the hay. It just slows them down and eating, helps their digestive tract. They don't colic, it's not as likely to colic, and they don't overeat.
So this is Kara. She's actually from Georgia. Let's do red here and tilt in like the middle.
So they're going to put some tinsel in his mane and just make him look kind of fancy for tomorrow, so they can weave tinsel and different colors and stuff into their manes.
My dad's decided that Ransom's not the only one who needs fly spray, which is fine because it's all natural.
It works for horses, it works for humans. For some reason they appear to be all over me, but not all over anybody else. Another important part of performance horses is their feet. Big thing is making sure that their hooves are not only trimmed, but also that the shoe fits the horse's foot right. A horse's leg is made unlike any other mammal's leg in the world. When you look at them physically, it does not look like a horse's weight could be managed by feet that are made that way. You take a look at a horse's feet, their legs come down and it's almost like all the weight goes where there's no hoof. But there's a tremendous amount of pressure on those tendons, and so keeping those tendons in good shape is imperative to making sure that a horse can perform right. So he gets his hooves trimmed and reshoot every 6 weeks or so.
And after a run, we make sure that we cool down those legs. When horses' legs are warm, they're prone to injury.
We'll hose them down a lot of times with cool water after they've run. We want to make sure that those tendons are getting cool. A horse injures its leg most often when those tendons are hot. That's when they can sprain or break something. So we want to make sure after a run we're cooling those tendons down, making sure they're in top performance. Is that how it works with horses in the wild? Absolutely not. There's nobody out there to spray their tendons down. But it is something that we can do with horses in captivity just to help them have better health overall.
I think a horse's feet and legs show that we have an incredible creator.